The posters read, Ma Jaya, this is not Brooklyn now, initiation into Shakti. I thought about how I would teach Shakti here in the West to people unfamiliar with the idea. My mind races back to Swami years ago, asking me if I knew about Shakti and telling me that I held inside of me the renewal of Shakti here in the States. In those days, I knew from lasagna and meatballs, knew from strange words from strange lands. One hot day in Brooklyn, I went over to Sal, and I said, my husband, I'd like a pool for the kids, not just my kids, but I always had kids from around the neighborhood. There was never less than 15 to 30 kids sitting at my table. I said to Sal, I've got to get a pool. This is a very important thing to do, Sal. He says, no, you're allowed. I just kept talking, like he wasn't even there. And over the ground pool, you know, like the kids. Well, he says, a little wading pool? Then over the ground pool. You saying I can buy an over the ground pool? He says, all right, from the Sears Roebuck, you get a pool and put it on the credit thing. So I look at the catalog and it says, it's ironic because I just took you recently there and I took you there. What do you see? This pool. First time on the market, I can't even say the word, hexagonal, is that one? Hexagon, you want to teach me with your accent? Whatever, pool, the biggest one in the country. He thought I would maybe buy a kiddie pool for teenagers, so I ordered the hugest overground pool known to man. It was an experimental model. 3 trucks came to put it up. They came at 6 or 7 in the morning and worked all day. He was already out the door when they came, and they left about 5 minutes before he got home. You want to talk about ulcers. I had these sliding glass doors going out to the backyard. Sal's sitting at the table, and he's eating the spaghetti. All of a sudden, he's staring like something from outer space. I'm keeping busy with serving the dinner, and the kids know they can't even look anywhere. And the man is like turned to stone. It took 10 minutes for the man to breathe. What the hell is that? I says, oh, honey, they made a mistake with the order. I looked him straight in the eye. He rolled up Sears, it was already done. And the poles were cemented in. So he says to me, for this, you're dead. He said that a lot. I should have been dead a long time ago. So anyway, he says, your pool, you take care of it. I had to learn to go with the thing and measure, and I had to mix the this into the that and make sure the water's right. I had the most gorgeous purple-colored pool. I'm surprised these kids didn't all die from my pool. But they had their pool and I was happy. But then I get into this God business. I never wanted God. God chose me. But here I am, still in Brooklyn, trying to make normal. And you have to let the pool out through the outlet. And then with the filter, you let it in. And I'm going down there under the deck because this pool is like 6 feet deep. It's got decks and ladders and everything. I think he's still paying for it, by the way. It's down under there, and this was 24 years ago. It's down, maybe 23. I'm down under there letting it out. And as the water went rushing, I'm feeling all the water's going in my head. I thought I was consuming water. Now what's happening to me? Because I had already had the vision of Christ. And I turned to water. I heard a voice saying, I shall teach you. I shall take you. I shall give you water, and you shall quench the earth. The first thing I thought of, I'll lose weight again. What else can I think of? If I'm made of water, I don't have to eat. But it was a feeling right through the top of the head, just flowing water, never ending. I didn't have a life teacher, and I was scared. I didn't know what it was. For all I knew, it could have been a brain tumor, but it went right through me and it didn't stop. It's kind of what you felt last night, that flow. It first started when I was fixing that pool, and it never stopped. That was my initiation into Shakti. It's the same thing you can feel in the moment of giving. It's warm, it's liquidy, and it was an expression of my love for my God. This love that flows through me and into people. But for me in Brooklyn, that's how it came to me. under the deck of the pool, and it never left. I'll always remember being under the deck of that pool, trying to figure out how to let the water out for all to see. But in reality, it always was there. It just had to be felt, looked upon, touched, and heard. After that happened, Swami Nityananda had to explain it to me. He asked me what I felt when I visited hospitals and took care of the dying. This was in 1973. I said I felt good, sad, and honored that they, the sick and the lonely and the dying, trusted me enough to let me place my hands on their brows or plant a kiss on their cheek, or just letting me sit with them, holding hands till the end. Swami said one simple word that got me thinking. Why? Because I love them and honored their space of death and suffering. I only wanted to bring a little joy to everyone. It made me happy in my heart to see the sick ones smile. That, my dear Jaya, is Shakti. You need to know that Swami didn't talk like this. He always talked in the third party. This one says, and there's more of the biography, the autobiography, that'll explain how Swami talked. That, my dear Jaya, is Shakti. The joy you bring to people and want to bring to people is an actual substance, which we all have dwelling within us, waiting for the holy to come and activate it and tease it alive, continued. When Shakti is silent, it melts one's resistance to love and affection. And that's what I was trying to teach you last night. When Shakti is silent, it melts one's resistance to love and affection. If you lose yourself in the gentle waters, this is what I was telling you about in court lessons. If you lose your resistance to sitting with yourself in a space, a quiet space, and you let that solitude or that love of God touch you, you melt down what you don't need. You're never alone. It's so important to have that melted in you. Judgment is drowned in the waters of the mother. Whoa, I said, what are you talking about? And I wrote this, Matagiri, I want to read this part. I'll read that little note here. Whoa, I said, what are you talking about? What are the waters of the mother? Is it like the waters that the baby floats around before birth? Yes, it's like the waters of a pregnant woman, in a sense of protection for her young. When you go and visit the sick, you bring them the mist of the mother. That mist is an actual substance. It says to the one lying in bed, you're a human being. You're not this disease that ravishes your body. This could be any disease, anything, or any kind of pain of the soul, the heart. Service cannot be dry, he continued. It has to be soaking wet, drenched in the love of God. And you, my Jaya, have the ability to bring the Shakti, or soul waters, to all who cross your path. Go out and initiate them into Shakti. She is the divine one who dwells at the base of the spine and wherever she is kept. Now this is very important. This might not be okay for a book. That's going out to the mainstream public. Either by ignorance or karma. In other words, what most people don't know is that you get stuck in a certain place. So although she rests at the base of the spine, if she has risen to a certain place, and say you're afraid of taking into the heart a slight touch of Shakti or love, then you're stuck here. Now people could become very powerful stuck in the third chakra. And they could make power their God. She stays asleep in that particular place until awakened by her own self and one who cares enough to want to touch humanity, withstanding the judgment of the world. Finally, I understood. My life was coming apart at that time. Every time I seemed to be getting closer to my Christ, I got further from my family. The jealousy Salvatore felt went beyond the jealousy he would have felt if I had taken a lover. After all, how could he compete with God? Now I was learning of a new thing, which I somehow knew in the depths of my soul was responsible for my love of God. Shakti is the female power of the goddess herself. My Swami continued, she has to go from one vessel to another. One gives and receives. Shakti then rises in the one receiving, and his or her whole life changes. As she goes toward the different centers or chakras, the receiver rises out of the place of indifference and enters into the world of God and the Mother. However, Shakti can be dangerous without teacher or guru. There is always a chance that one will use the serpent power as Shakti is sometimes known for personal gain, thus limiting oneself to the feeling of power instead of bliss. Swami, is it necessary to know all this, I asked. It was all getting too confusing for me, and I wanted to go on to the next subject, but Swami would not let it go. He hammered the meaning of Shakti in me until I got the whole picture, or to be more exact, until I fully learned its meaning. The simplest way to put it is that Shakti is the movement of the earth in the form of God the Mother. The stillness is, of course, God the Father. Shakti is the emptiness and the fullness at the same time. And that's the end of that chapter.